she's reading my mind, so I just stopped thinking about her reading my mind. Thought about the dog.
What were you thinking about the dog?
Just running about on the beach.
He remembers what he was thinking.
No, just so she thought, oh, hang on a minute, it's not his mind, it's the dog's mind I'm picking up.
Oh, so you thought she'd go, oh no, I'm getting it all tangled up. I've got a cross line here.
But why were you worried that she was reading your mind? Because you weren't thinking of anything unsavory.
Don't. Oh, please.
No, I'm just trying to get in his mind.
It doesn't work, Carl. No one can read your mind.
No, but wait. What I mean is, even if, let's assume that you thought she could read your mind, why did you think that there was anything wrong with finding out what you were thinking? Because she'd have known that you knew that she could read minds. So if she read your mind and all you were thinking was she can read my mind, she'd think, what?
Of course, if she really could read your mind, she's going, there's Carl there trying to make me think that it's the dog. I know he's thinking of the dog.
No, but when you sort of try and think of normal things, you think of mental things, don't you? So I was like...
Oh, hold on, let's it.
Go on. No, I just mean, like, you're going, oh, God, I best not watch what I'm thinking then.
What were you thinking? Tell me some of the mental things.
There was loads of things that was in there. Like, there was an old woman who used to annoy me in there who used to give me socks all the time. And
Socks?
Socks. She used to always make loads of socks and she'd be bringing them in. And no matter what I did, no matter how much I sort of said, look, I'm sick of your socks, she kept bringing them in all the time. And they had, like, pictures on and that. I didn't want socks with pictures in. So I might have been sort of stood there going, oh, there she is with the socks, I'm sick of it. Now, if she can sense that, she'll go over to her and go, watch him, stop bringing him socks, or whatever.
No one can read minds. No one can contact the dead.
Say like me, right, if I sometimes come in the room and that and I'm fed up, you go, oh, Carl's fed up. I haven't even said anything. So it's just that.
It's because you look like a miserable bastard.
Yeah, and we know what that means. We're human and we understand facial movements.
It's a bit like that. It's a bit like that. It's a level down from that.
No. She should be able to read your mind if you're locked in a safe and she doesn't know who you are and she doesn't know whether there's someone in there.
No,
that's what the double-blind test
that
is.
That would never work, would it? Because that means she'd never get a rest. That's like
you're making up the rules. You're making up the rules. Oh no, the thing is, that's what these people do. Go, oh no, I have to hold your hand. Oh, you have to write it down. Well, why? Why do you? It's the same as these mediums that contact the dead. They go, oh, I'm getting someone. Just ask him who he is. Just give us his full name and address. It's ridiculous. I know the fact that these dead people give him cryptic clues. Ask him about the toaster. What's your name? What's your name? Can't say my name. Might be an uncle. Just give me your fucking name.
Back to Carl's diary, Friday the 31st. I read that some fella had been having an affair. His wife found out, so when he was asleep, she superglued his knob to his stomach, one of his bollocks to his leg, and glued his arse cheeks together, then chucked him out. If Suzanne did that, I would definitely not get back with her. Saying that, I would have woke up if someone was putting superglue on my arse. I'm quite a light sleeper.
Is that what she did, is it?
Yeah, that's why I'm a bit cautious about wearing earbuds every night. The plunge.
Earbuds.
Right.
So that's what they're called, right? Plunge things. It's like he makes up words. They taught a chimp to talk, and the chimp had a better grasp of language after about a few years than Carl. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's why I won't wear buds and plunge things. I phoned him up the other day. He went, oh, I've just tried out those new earplugs that mould your ear. You can't hear a thing except your own voice. And I went, oh, right, they're good, aren't they? He went, yeah. He said, it's weird hearing your own voice, isn't it? Because you're hearing it as other people hear it. I went, no, you're not. He went, you are. He said, you don't usually hear your own voice, because usually when you talk, you're talking over it.
Woke up at 9:55am. Soon as I woke up, I looked at Suzanne and she looked at me. I said, did I tell you about...
I just think of him opening his eyes and looking at him.
Okay, alright. Okay, so he opens his eyes, he looks at Suzanne, she looks at him. What question, Rick, do you think he immediately asks his girlfriend?
Go on.
What question do you think? Have a quick guess.
Am I dreaming?
I woke up, I said to my girlfriend, did I tell you about... I woke up, I looked at Suzanne, she looked at me. I said, did I tell you about the immune system? Did I tell you about the immune system? Suzanne started laughing. I said, it's amazing. She said, not now.
Into action, he zips up, his eyes are like...
Did I tell you about the immune system? Oh, shut up, Carl. Put the kettle on.
Oh, God! Oh, fucking hell!
Was talking to Suzanne about how it's odd that Sundays are meant to be the day of rest. I thought God was meant to be born on a Sunday. Or was it the 7th day that he finished making the world? Imagine how good the world could have been if he'd given it an extra day. Sometimes it's best to give yourself a deadline, though, so you don't faff about. I looked at Suzanne. She was leaning back on the bench with her eyes shut with the sun on her face. I never got an answer to my question.
Pretending to be asleep.
I met up with my mate Laurie. He said he was in a pub at the weekend and saw a bloke whose hands were on the wrong arms.
No! What do you mean?
Well, he had his left hand on his right arm and the right hand on the left arm. I don't think this would be a problem if he's been like that from an early age. When I was in Ripley's in LA, I saw a bloke whose head was on back to front.
That's more annoying, innit, than your hands. Innit?
Now then, would you walk? How would you walk? Would you be walking backwards, Carl, so that you could walk? So you're basically walking forwards.
I reckon I'd walk sideways so nobody would sort of tell the difference. It just looked like.
Oh, God! He solved it again!
He's thought it through. Got home and read my magazine. There was a story about a baby that was born that looked like a frog. What magazine's this?
That made the news. That was in a proper newspaper in the end.
The story used the description to describe it. There was a picture. I think it was a fairly decent description. It didn't really have a neck or top half of its head. It would look alright if it always wore a scarf and a hat. The world would be a more interesting place if there were loads of different types of humans like there are creatures. Then some people would be good at certain jobs. Spider people, ant people, builders. Cockroach people, dustbin men.
Good idea, isn't it?
I mean,
Cockroach men, Spider men, what are you talking about?
I haven't had a normal conversation with you for a year.
No.
It's getting worse, I think. I think it's because you've left and you've got too much time on your hands and you live in your head for sort of like maybe 8 hours a day, and then you offload when someone calls you, or when you call me, or Suzanne gets the brunt of it. But I mean, I don't know. I really would like to. And the nicest, I still think he's brilliant, right? But I would like to get a little psychiatrist in, just to. Would you mind seeing a
No, but
psychiatrist?
it's just there's nothing wrong. These are all ideas, aren't they? You look at some insects, right?
Yeah.
They don't have machinery, yet they're getting by, aren't they? They have their lives like we do. They get up, they wander about, they collect food, they tidy up, they fix stuff, they make their own house. We can't do any of that. So what I'm saying is, why aren't we using them? Why are these cockroaches with all these powers and stuff
Powers?
going about?
It's all these powers.
But how could we use them? How could we harness
I've just
them?
told you, dustbin men. Or whatever that
No,
was.
you said that if they were also men, if they were cockroach men, we
Where's
could use
the?
them.
You've left a big bit out, but when that 1-inch cockroach becomes a 6-foot bloke wearing a jacket.
It's just that we always use insects for like a bit of fun. You see flea circuses and all that, which is all very well, but most out of them.
Cockroaches can live without a head.
I know.
Could they still sort out the rubbish if they've got no heads?
They could, couldn't they?
Except if they were, because you know you want to use them as builders and dustmen, they couldn't whistle at pretty girls, could
No, but they wouldn't be doing that job. They're just doing the bins.
they? Okay.
It's ants not doing the building.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And are they getting up early? Are they
They
disturbing
don't
you?
sleep, do they?
But then it get you up even earlier. You hate it when the builders get you up at 7, then go to breakfast.
Yeah, but it wouldn't go on as long, would it? Because the ants would be working hard. So it'd probably be one day of madness, but then it'd be finished. As opposed to builders just stood about whistling, doing nothing, going on for months.
And is this ant 6 foot?
No. About 3.
3 foot. So how many of them are there?
About 30 of them.
And what do they look like? Are they just a giant ant with a?
Add that on. Just get on with it. I mean, it'd be weird for a bit, but with anything, you get used to seeing
But
things,
Carl,
don't you?
again, this isn't an idea. It isn't a theory. You can't put this into practice because it doesn't exist.
I know, I'm just saying.
It's
though,
like, well, I mean, you wishing for ant builders is the same as you wishing that you didn't have to do any building and your house was just perfect, or you could just wish for it. What's the difference? Why go through this elaborate? But what I'm saying
Weird,
is
isn't
that
it?
your wish is you're not taking shortcuts. You see, it's the same people who goes, oh, I wish I could go back in time and put £1,000 on the Grand National. What you mean is you wish you had £1 million.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the time travel bit and put in you wish you were rich.
Yeah.
It's like, so you wish you didn't have to have builders round. That's what you're wishing for. So this elaborate thing of getting a 3-foot ant with a hard hat,
Today I got an innovations catalogue. I thought I'd keep it because I like the stuff they sell in it. Brackets, one big slipper.
What's that? One big slipper.
Just if you don't go out much.
But you don't like slippers.
No, I know, but I think they're a good idea because they're just there to keep your feet warm.
But why one big? Why not two smaller ones?
So you can walk around.
Yeah, one big slipper's just making it painful.
It's more
and
sort of
awkward.
roomy, isn't it?
Why do you think that's a good invention? One big slipper.
How is that better than two smaller slippers?
Because the problem is with slippers, right? You've already said how you nip across the road in them, right? So you muck them up and you have to buy some more. There's no way you'll be nipping to the shops in that one big one. That will always stay where it should be, by the sofa next to the telly. And you go, right, I'm in for the night now, where's my slipper?
But couldn't I just put my feet inside a cushion cover or something? What?
If you want, but it's only cheap, why not get one?
You're right.
They're only cheap. Why not get one? But then, Carl, why not get one big glove? If you're not going out, right, just get one big glove. You don't have to do anything, just one big glove. Pop your hands in one big glove. I'm not going out with gloves, you have to go out and touch stuff. Just one big glove. Why?
Well, yeah, why bother putting trousers on? You've got to put legs in both. Why not just wear a skirt?
Yeah, pop a skirt on, yeah.
Put on a lady's skirt or a lady's dress. It's one piece, isn't it then?
Yeah.
Just pop around in it.
One big monocle, don't wear glasses, wear one big monocle. Yeah. I mean, it's stupid, have two gloves, two slippers is mental.
Anyway, I had a good sleep last night. So much so that I woke up before my legs did.
I don't know what that means!
This has happened before when I was younger. We used to have a phone in the bathroom so that if anyone called and we were on the toilet, you'd still be able to be available. My bedroom was next to the bathroom and the phone rang one morning. My mum and dad were at work and my brother and sister were out somewhere and the phone woke me up. So I jumped out of bed to answer it, but the bottom half of my body was still asleep and I fell to the floor.
It's horrible. Has that ever happened to you?
Well, hang on. I had to crawl for a bit and reached for the phone. It was a fella selling some bread to my dad for the shop. By the end of the call, my legs were working again.
It's a weird sensation.
What shop?
My mum and dad used to have a butty shop.
Do they?
But the thing is, just on the floor, top half, I had to sort of crawl, carrying my weight, and my legs were just like they weren't there. It's really, really weird.
You mean you woke up with two dead legs, two pins and needles legs?
Are you sure you weren't wearing just one big slipper?
Hi, I'm Ricky Gervais.
My name's Steve Merchant.
I'm Carl Pilkington, right?
And you're listening to the World Technology Podcast.
Can we do that end bit? Just hang on, here we go, on the count of three, right?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I'm frightened.
That is Green Day, of course, with Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Ooh.
This is Adam and Joe on XFM, and it's only a week till Christmas.
That's very exciting.
This time next week, man, we're going to be in a shack in Leicester Square, broadcasting live for our special Christmas Day program.
That's true.
And then afterwards, I'm going to go home and stuff myself with drugs. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just... No, I'm not going to do that.
Not very Christmas.
Are you guys ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right. I should start off by thanking all of you because I usually have to do my interviews from a very small, cramped, smelly booth
Paracetamol.
in the newsroom, but I actually get to come down to the big studio today. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for showing up.
Is that because of us?
Well, coming up in the next 2
Yeah,
hours,
just because of you guys.
is my microphone
I get the
sounding
studio.
very
You get more
distorted?
comfort because we're on.
It is now,
Absolutely.
Well, we're in a
Absolutely.
small little smelly booth, so I don't know what's going on.
That's right. It's an exciting
Well,
competition.
okay. Anyway,
It's my mum describing something.
I guess I should start off by asking,
you know,
Ricky, Steven, you guys have been working together for a long time. TV, radio. Why podcasting?
We've got a massive Christmas stack.
A couple of reasons, really. It's total artistic freedom. I mean, we always had, artistic freedom. It's not the fact that we can get more freedom of speech than we ever did have, but it's more convenience. We can do it when we want for as long as we want. But the main thing is that it's literally global. Unlike everything else, that people in America can't get the DVD of extras yet, maybe, or they, But this is available when it's available here. It's available everywhere.
I think you say artistic freedom there, Rick. I wonder if that paints the impression of this being some kind of artistic endeavour.
I was going to push that point just a little bit, having listened to every episode of your podcast so far, but we'll get to that in just a second. Was this the Guardian's idea or your idea?
You two.
Ours.
It was your idea.
Yeah.
You guys went to the Guardian and said, "Can we do a podcast?"
That's exactly right, yeah.
And then you offered to do it for free.
Well, we wanted to do it for free, so we had to have someone to host it, because obviously it costs money for the setup and stuff. So we always wanted to give it away for free. It's just then someone had to facilitate that.
Right.
So that idea came first. That was absolutely fundamental, that I wanted it free. Yeah, we just and the Guardian were great about that. They had sort of like the forerunner of sort of media in England. So it was a marriage made in heaven.
I mean, they have been out in front, haven't they, on new media, blogging, pictures from picture phones, things like that. A lot of sort of citizen media.
I must warn you that the more you press any point, the more you'll find our ignorance.
Oh, right, okay.
Blogging?
Yeah,
a blog.
Well, you're ahead.
Blogging throws you guys, huh?
Yeah, that's when you just like go online and talk about what you did that day, isn't it?
All right. Well, how about? I mean, you obviously must have known a little bit about podcasting, or you wouldn't have gone to the Guardian with the idea.
And, you know, we knew what it was. We knew that people do it in their bedroom and stick it on the internet for all to listen to, but they only get 25 people listening to it. And we thought, with our global fame, we could get more listeners than that.
Right. So I'm curious, Carl, how did you get involved with all of this?
Just, well, I did the radio show with Ricky and Steve, and
that was a radio show there that went out in Britain, right?
Yeah, went out in London, but on the internet and that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wanted to carry on Monkey News.
Yeah, Monkey News, for listeners who haven't heard, is sort of a roundup of Monkey News. Yeah.
Well, I think what we should make clear to people who aren't familiar with the show is that, unlike the things that Ricky and I have worked on in the past, our TV sitcoms and things, this is not a carefully crafted comedy show. This is basically Ricky and I probing Carl about his views and opinions on the world. And what we discovered when we started working with him is that they are unique, and that word is bandied around, but I think I would be right in saying, Rick, that they are truly unique
Carl
views.
is the most fascinating human being I've ever met. And I mean that both as a compliment and as an insult. His views are fascinating, but they're rather like the first chimp that ever speaks. They're rather like when you thaw out a caveman and then experiment on him. I mean, I see myself and Steve as very much as Anthony Hopkins in The Elephant Man, taking round Carl as an exhibit. And it's strange that now people want to talk to it. It really is only a prop in our show.
Now, Carl, you're not getting paid to do this, so why do you take this kind of abuse?
I don't really see it as abuse.
All right, okay. I mean, they've as much as said it's abuse.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, I sort of learn stuff from it. So that's a reason to do it. But also,
what have you learned this week?
Well, the what's the name? About that lion. That if it could chat, it couldn't. I don't always learn something.
Right, obviously.
He's referring to Wittgenstein's lion, where Wittgenstein said that if a lion could speak English, you wouldn't be able to understand it. It's because his frames of reference would be so far removed that even though he's using real words in the English language, we wouldn't be able to understand what he said. Carl, what did you learn about that?
That's a good idea.
I just thought a lion was a bad example of a creature that you couldn't have a chat with.
Go on.
Yeah.
No, I just.
I'm with you so far.
Yeah. So all I'm
bad
saying,
example of a creature you couldn't have a chat with. So you're saying that you could have a chat with a lion. It's a bad example.
I just think because you said it could speak English. So what I'm saying is, if it can speak English, it's wandering about. It's got quite a normal life, but it can't speak English at the moment.
Right.
It's like us. It roams about. It's looking for food.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a worm, I'd say, yeah, that's not going to happen. Just because it's got all the odds are against it.
It lives underground.
It's underground, so it's not living the sort of life we have. It's blind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Clark?
It's got no mouth, so it's going to be muffled when it speaks English.
As always, Carl, I kind of try to start. I kind of start getting my head around what you're trying to say about 10 minutes after you've said it. Sort of.
So does he.
Yeah, and that's the sense that I get from listening. Now, I'm just going to take the last episode as an example. Carl, you held forth on dishwashers on Mars. We had that in there. We had what a day would be like on a different planet. But my favorite part, and I just want to play a little clip here, was Carl Pilkington making the case that dinosaurs should roam the Earth right now. If we could just play a clip from last week's episode. Yeah, Ricky won.
Fair enough then.
When you think about it, there's a population problem. There's too many of us. We're saving people all the time. No one's allowed to get injured anymore. You've got to, wear a helmet when you're on a bike. There's speed bumps to slow people down. Cures for illnesses. No one's dying anymore. And that's a problem.
So you feel that you should introduce Tyrannosaurus Rex into, say, London, just have him wandering around, just picking people off.
That's what. Just sort of random and that. Because I don't know. I mean, I'm not wishing that anyone I know dies and that. But all I'm saying is, I don't know anyone who's died for ages.
Right.
Whereas if a dinosaur was knocking about, then it is survival of the fittest, which is, we've lost all that now. You don't even have to be fit to survive. You just keep sticking a new lung on you. Or, do you know what I mean? They can do too much now to keep people going.
They just keep sticking a new lung on you.
But here's the thing. She only wants
Carl, do you still feel that way about dinosaurs roaming the Earth? That's a good idea?
But she just wants
just curious.
of his martini.
All I'm saying is, we might not have to go that far, but I'm just saying we've got to keep an eye on it. Because
wait a minute, got to keep an eye on what? The population
just
problem?
the amount of people we're talking about, and we're saving everyone. And I was reading yesterday about we're worried about the polar bears now, and it's just like, let something die. Just because if we're saving everything, where are we going to live? Because they're just going to, do you know what I mean? More and more people are taking up space.
And polar bears have become a real problem there in London, I've read recently.
No, but it's just saying, like, we're worried about them, but what I'm saying is if the polar bears do die out, that's more land available to put houses on, because we'll be needing that space. One thing I can tell you, Clark, the world isn't getting any bigger.
Now,
polar bears don't live on land, they live on ice caps.
Another part of it's a fascination with animals of all stripes I've noticed in the podcast. You were just talking about polar bears. We were just talking about lions. One of my favorite parts from the last episode, though, was a reading from Carl's diary. I should preface this. The premise here behind Carl's diary is what?
Well,
exactly?
I sort of did it just because I find that if I write things down, I remember them better. Because I didn't do that well at school, right, Clark? Mainly because I didn't write stuff down. I just sort of stayed in the class, listened, and then left and couldn't remember it. So now I'm doing this podcast. I'm learning a lot. Not every week, like I say, but now and again I pick something up and I think that's good. So I think if I write it down, it'll go into my head.
Okay.
So I started doing the diary.
See, that would be a good rule of thumb and a way forward if the things you wrote down were true in the first place. You see, when you look back in years to come and you go, I learnt something. Yeah, there's a dishwasher on Mars.
Yeah, but what have you heard about that, Clark? I mean,
you're
working on a
It's not true. It's not true.
Yeah, the dishwasher on Mars thing I wasn't entirely convinced about, but I do like the fact that Carl is so interested in science and technology.
But the thing is, it's the thing is about the dishwasher on Mars was that it was in a piece explaining that they've got telescopes now that could see a dishwasher on Mars. It was purely an illustrative point, and we explained this to him afterwards, and we explained to him that there are telescopes that can see the Big Bang, because that's how long it takes light to get here. That happened billions of years ago. He couldn't see that. He couldn't see that when you see a star burn out, it happened a million years ago. I mean, he absolutely couldn't grasp that concept.
But I don't see why we're looking that far, because we're not going to get there. To me, it's a bit of a teaser. It's like showing you a really nice beach and saying, "But you can't go there." So what's the point in seeing it? The whole thing about seeing something is being able to go, that looks nice, I'm going to go there, or that looks nice, I'm going to buy one. But to say,
Well, that's not true.
What do you mean?
Well, that's not true. That's not true in all cases, is it?
Why?
Well, why have we been fascinated with art? Why have we been fascinated with the people don't show you the Mona Lisa because one day you might buy it?
Well, yeah, but I've talked about that. I'm not a big fan of a lot of art. But what I do know is I don't want to look miles away and see stuff that's happened and I can't change the end of. I mean, are you up for it, Clark? Would you have one?
Have what?
Have what? A dishwasher? See, this is the problem,
miles.
Carl. I get lost. I get lost in it. By the time you get to asking me the question, I don't quite know what you're asking me anymore.
I'm just saying, is it worth seeing that far?
Well,
There you are, Clark. That's one of the most extraordinary questions you must have been asked in some while.
it is.
Is it worth looking that
I'll
far?
tell you what I mean. Maybe this is clearer. It's like when you get to a corner, you want to turn it because you go, I wonder what's round it. But if you can see round the corner without going round the corner, then, you know, will you ever look round the corner? Maybe that's not...
He's tongue-tied. He's brain-tied himself again.
Yeah. At this point, since we're out in space anyway, in more ways than one, I wanted to, Stephen, you tend to be the one who reads from Carl's diary. Is that something you look forward to?
Enormously. I mean, I don't, you know, Carl, we had to persuade Carl to allow us to read from his diary.
Yeah. You might
it's very
explain
much
what
a
his
private
diary
subject.
looks like, too.
Well, his diary is one of those enormous, oversized desk diaries. It's not the sort of discreet thing you keep in your pocket. It's a big black folder, essentially, of his gobbledygook. And yeah, every day he writes something down. He hopes to have learned
It
something.
weighs about £10. His writing is all in capitals, like the writing you see in a madman would leave about
Just before he
aliens.
started picking people off from a clock tower.
Oh, boy. Yikes. Well,
Which, of course, would help with limiting the population, Carl, if we had someone doing that.
hey, you wouldn't need the dinosaurs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to play. This is from the last podcast that you guys did too. This is Stephen Merchant reading an entry from Carl's diary about the Big Bang Theory.
Oh.
Got my science book out. It said that the static you get on the telly when a channel isn't tuned in properly is radiation that is still knocking about from when the Big Bang happened. I thought about the Big Bang and wondered if it was really a Big Bang or did it just sound louder as there was no other noise to drown it out.
Listen very closely, because you will guaranteed to. If you're
Carl's diary, Rick, never ceases to amaze. More from that next week.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, I agree. That's sometimes all I can think is wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard us discuss the model of infinity with the infinite amount of chimps eventually?
Eventually, but doesn't Carl believe that the chimps can't come up with anything by Shakespeare?
Carl, what do you think of
because
that? He reckons it wouldn't happen if I hadn't read it first.
Right, the
He
chimps.
doesn't get the concept. He doesn't get the concept of using. The trouble is, where people use that model of a chimpanzee not having consciousness, Carl doesn't believe that because Carl thinks that chimps think like us. Carl gets most of his scientific information from the Flintstones and the Planet of the Apes. So a chimpanzee is a really bad example to show random. It's infuriating.
But the biggest problem I've got with it is, right, and...
This is the chimp theory. The chimp theory. Okay.
We should point out this is the theory that if you gave an infinite number of chimps an infinite number of typewriters, they would
Eventually write Shakespeare.
eventually write the complete works of Shakespeare.
Right, my biggest problem is, it's not the same chimp.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter because...
Okay, let's change it then. It still works if you give a chimp an infinite amount of time. Eventually, he will type the complete works of
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
but then the new one will come along, the different monkey, whatever the shift pattern is, one will finish the
forget
shift.
shift pattern. The shift pattern's got. I've told you before. It's got nothing to do with it. So okay, forget infinite amount of monkeys, right? One monkey with a typewriter, given an infinite amount of time, will eventually, along with everything else, type the complete works of Shakespeare.
It just annoys me how you believe that, yet you're not having the, you know...
Because it's a model to show the nature of infinity. We're not saying it would ever happen or will ever
But they
happen.
haven't even done chapter 1 of one yet.
But
What do you get?
But they're not actually conducting this experiment.
So why say it? It's a stupid thing to say.
Oh, really?
That's rich.
It's slightly halting. You need more full
Okay,
stops,
so
less
other
full
than
stops.
being a platform
Anyway,
for Carl's
we, have
theories,
someone on the line now
do you
who
guys
thinks
think
they
that
know who my mum was
podcasting gives
talking
you
about.
comic opportunities that
and
other
who-
media really don't?
Is it Shilpa?
Well,
Hello, Shilpa. How are you?
yes, because it's sort of
Very, very
cheap.
well, thank you very much.
It's a cheap medium. We couldn't go on television
What are you doing today,
and
Shilpa?
expect people to pay a TV licence or to take advertising out on the drivel of Carl Pilkington. Whereas if we just stick it out there and people come across it, I mean, just think of us pitching this idea to a TV company. We get a shaved monkey and ask it stuff for half an hour. They're not going to be chomping at the bit, are they? Whereas this way we can show them the... I mean, I really do feel like I am a pioneer in the Old West, and I've found the missing link. Me and Steve think of us going round in some sort of wagon where we pull down the sheet and there's Carl sitting there in the cage, and all these people go, yes, see the roundness of his head, hear it speak. Right?
Okay,
You know what I mean? It'd just go around every... I mean, I'd love to do a tour of America and give away little, pictures of Carl. They've met the missing link.
But Clark, do you sometimes think I have got a point? Do you ever think, yeah, he's right with that
You
one?
have... I sometimes think you have a point.
Right.
I'm not ever entirely sure what that point is.
Yeah, but it's the same as if Einstein, right? Say if he didn't have, like, everyone bigging him up like they have now. And,
Yeah.
You hear the name
I know.
Einstein, you go,
I know
"He's a
you're
bright fella."
anti-Einstein too. Yeah.
But what I mean is, if he said to you, like, Clark, E equals MC squared, wouldn't you find that a bit like, what are you on about? What's your point?
That's a good point. I see now that you are like Einstein.
I'm just
It's a
saying every
perfect
idea,
metaphor.
every idea has to come from an egg, and I'm just laying the egg.
And you've just got a head shaped like an egg, and it's coming out of there.
Should do both at the same time.
You're just laying the egg, are you? So whereas
Yeah.
Einstein there, building, of course, on Newtonian laws of physics, your idea of dinosaurs rampaging around London in order to pick people off and keep the population down is based on what previous idea?
It's just one idea.
Jurassic Park?
It's just one little idea that could move on to another one.
Nick, sorry, I got very familiar with
Has the
you.
popularity of this surprised you?
Babes, who do you think my mum was talking
Yeah.
about?
I mean, what, 3 million
Yes,
downloads
course it was
of
huge.
11
Yeah,
episodes?
We're getting about sort of 400,000 or 500,000 downloads a week now. I mean, it's amazing that these people are out there coming back and telling their friends. I mean, that's what's nice about it, that they download it, they bother to download it. It just doesn't come out of the radio waves. They're not, they bother to download it week after week.
I think one of the attractive things about podcasting, and something that we enjoyed with radio, and this in a sense gives us even more freedom, is that it doesn't have to be carefully crafted. It can feel like, and it is, 3 people having a conversation in a room. And I've always personally been a fan of any kind of media where you get, as it were, invited to someone else's conversation and you can sort of listen in. And so, ideally that would be some of the great thinkers of our time. But in this instance it's not. But I think it can be pleasurable. You can sort of plug yourself into someone else's life for half an hour and see the way they think. And I think there's something quite inclusive, hopefully, about the show.
Right, right.
Why you should choose to listen, I've no idea.
Yeah, well,
What the hell is going on in your life that you need to listen to this drivel?
well that was going to be one of my questions. I mean, what has been your
I mean
interaction?
specifically you, Clark. What's going on in your life?
Well, I mean, yeah, that is a fair question. I guess not much really. But
and of course it's not new in any way.
do you have
Clark's
plans
quite
for?
an expert on technology. Is there anything you want to ask him?
Yeah,
Take the opportunity.
because I won't be
Think of
able
it
to
like a
answer it. But
consultation. Ask him anything. What bothers you about the world?
come on,
now?
shoot, Carl. Give me something.
What do you know? Like, there's loads of inventions all the time, aren't they? They're coming out all the time. They're always bringing stuff out.
Yep, fair enough.
Mainly stuff we don't need now, I'd say.
Well, that's your
since
opinion.
Since about I don't know, 1978. I'd
Brilliant.
say.
Just
to pluck to-
figure
pluck
at
to-
random.
Plucked a year out of the air.
The mobile phone was voted by farmers around the world the most labour-saving device of the 20th century. That came after 1978. So once again, you've made a fool. I know you're going to say it's just a phone. They just tweaked it. Fundamentally different.
It's the same as the iPod being the new Walkman.
Right.
They keep sort of tweaking it, and it's annoying because to me it's kind of like, you know, someone jumping on the back of someone else's idea. Right, so say like iPod, he's sort of jumped on the back of Mr. Walkman, and he's gone, I'll have that.
So I've just got an image of now a man jumping on the back of another man. I mean, it's
is that
incredible.
the actual image in your head, Carl, as you said that?
Well,
sort of,
yeah, I'm sort of
okay.
imagining a little salesman on a market doing well for himself, and then someone coming along, nicking the idea, setting up a stall right next to him and going, look at this, I'm doing better than you.
It's fundamentally different.
But what would you say has been the best invention?
Ever?
Well, before 1978, because everything after then it's just been toys. So just, you know, something that you go,
Amazing.
That's
I mean, amazing. We've got DNA fingerprinting since 1978. We've mapped.
yeah, but all these
the
things are
double
making other
helix.
people lazy, aren't they? All these new inventions. Why do you need 10,000 songs on the go with you? Where are you walking? You know, it's a Walkman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So what you know, what do you think is a good thing? What's come out there that you go, I couldn't do that?
Well, you know, television's been okay.
That would be a one-issue one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but don't you think it gets you down as well?
No.
The way that.
Why? Well, because I try not to watch anything that's going to get me down.
No, but sometimes you can't avoid it. It's like, you know, something bad happens in the world and then you put the telly on. Now, years ago, cavemen weren't worrying about what was going on the other side of the world. They'd just get on with their own day, potter about. Now, you know, like within 5 minutes of something happening, we're all getting miserable because it's like, oh, have you heard the news? So
you're
is that a good
you're
thing?
actually a Luddite then. I mean, here you've been doing this podcasting
you've made
thing.
a fatal error there.
I know. That's a big word.
What, in what way?
Let me ask you this, Carl.
What do you think? Can I just explain what a Luddite is to him, though, Carl?
Yeah,
I think,
please.
Is it like it's like a caveman, isn't it?
No, it was people that were protesting against the Industrial Revolution and went and smashed up machinery because they thought it was an evil that was going to ruin the world.
What was the machine they were smashing up?
I think it was something like
It's a giant robot that was going around killing people.
The giant robot that was killing all the dinosaurs. Yeah.
But go on, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just as we're wrapping up here, Carl. I have to admit that I was a little bit nervous about doing this interview with you. I'm a little bit nervous that this might end up as a diary entry. Is this interview been interesting enough to warrant a diary entry, or no?
Can I just answer that as well?
Sure.
He puts in things like saw a woman walking down the street, saw a fat bloke. I mean, I think you're interesting enough to make it his diary. If you're not, you're in real trouble.
Well, that's why I'm hesitant to even ask the question. I would hate to not even make Carl's cut.
That would be devastating.
It is interesting, but not because of you, but just because of the way that I'm talking now.
Thank you.
Because I thought someone was going to be in this room chatting to us, and you're miles away. What time is it?
It's 11 o'clock in the morning here.
You see, there's the next invention then. Why is it 11 o'clock? Wouldn't the world run better if it's the same time everywhere?
No, the answer's no. The answer's definitely not.
But why? Because we'd all be on the same. We'd all have the same mood all the time. Because
Well, no,
we'd all
we've
get
got
up
that.
at
We've
the same
got
time.
Greenwich Mean Time, if
No,
you
no.
want a reference point.
But everybody feels the same in the morning, don't they?
Oh, you're such an idiot.
groggy
What's
or-
morning? What's morning?
And then starts another one. Have you got another one? Yeah, I've got another
But
one.
just listen to it.
Did you hear that groan there from Clark?
Are you guys-
He just felt like he wanted to give up living.
Are you guys? Is this started something? Are you guys going to keep on podcasting?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, until every person in the world knows who Carl Pilkington is.
But it's just another invention. If we brought it out on cassette, no one would want to know. That's what I mean. Blogging, you mentioned blogging, but I've got a diary. It's the same thing. It's always the same. This link that we've got now is clearer, but it's a telephone. Everything's done. It's boring. Move on.
Do you know what he said to me once, Clark? He said, everything that's that ever will be invented has already been invented.
Right.
And I pointed out out that people said that in 1900. And he said, well, what's happened since 1900? I said, well, loads of stuff. He went, well, what's left to be invented? I said, a cure for cancer. He said, people have to die, otherwise rent will keep going up. That's what he said. That was his conclusion.
Yeah, he is concerned with the population, I know. That's been brought up numerous times in the podcast.
But it's just, as well, if you live forever, how do you plan stuff? You just keep putting stuff off. Whereas, if you know you've only got a set amount, then you go, right, what do I want to do? Let's get my diary out. There's no point having a diary if you're living forever, because you go, well, let's spread it out.
Well, I guess you can stop keeping your diary then.
I tell you what you could try if you could live forever, to try and type the complete works of Shakespeare with the book in front of you. And I don't reckon you'd ever do it.
Well, we'll leave it there. Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant, and Carl Pilkington, thank you very, very much for agreeing to join us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Isn't there's a bit of software you can buy now which just does it automatically?
Well, I don't care. I think that's fantastic. I've always loved the Grange Hill theme, and it works amazingly well with Nelly.
It's a bit of library music, isn't it, the Grange Hill theme?
Well, it was also the theme to give us a clue, wasn't
Hi, I'm Ricky Gervais.
My name's Steve Merchant.
I'm Carl Pilkington. Right.
And you're listening to the World Technology Podcast.
Can we do that end bit? Just hang on. Here we go. On the count of three. Right?
Okay.
One,
It does sound like you downloaded
And you're listening to the World Technology Podcast.
I wasn't looking at him.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Adam and Joe on
1,
XFM?
2, 3.
And you're listening to the World Technology Podcast.
Brilliant.
Surely that's what they're looking for.
That
They must
is,
be looking.
yeah,
Right, here we go.
that is
Just
more than what I'm looking for.
Do it once more, hang on.
Okay.
And you're listening to the World Technology Podcast. Hi, I'm Ricky Gervais.
My name's Steve Merchant.
I'm Carl Pilkington.
And you're listening to the World
World
Technology
Technology Podcast.
Podcast.
That was from his fantastic
Oh.